For 300 years she did not scream. She did not cry. She did not sleep. Chained in darkness, forgotten by the stars, she waited. They called her a monster. They feared her power. So the gods locked her away beneath a dead mountain and left her there to rot. But one day someone came, not a hero, not a king, just a tired human, with a rusted sword, and everything changed. The mountain was dead. No wind touched its black stone. No birds flew above it. No green grew near it. The sky around it always looked gray even during the day. People said it was cursed, a place where only ghosts lived. Deep inside the mountain, far below the earth, there was a great stone chamber, cold, silent, ancient, and in that chamber, she waited. Her name was Yunha. She was once called the Queen of the Skies, the Last Flame, the Winged Light. But that was long ago. Now she had no name, only chains. The chains wrapped around her arms, her legs, and her wings. They glowed with old golden runes. They hummed quietly, always reminding her she could not move. The chains were not made by normal hands. They were made by the gods themselves. No blade could cut them. No fire could melt them. She had not spoken in 300 years. She sat on her knees, her back straight, her head lifted high. Though her body was weak, her eyes still burned. They were golden, like fire trapped in glass. Sometimes people came, warriors, mages, thieves. They came chasing stories, hoping to free her, kill her, or claim her power. All of them failed. Some tried to break the chains, others tried to steal the runes. Many ran away in fear. The chains never broke. The mountain always stayed quiet. Until today. A small sound echoed through the chamber, the sound of footsteps. She opened her eyes slowly. Someone was coming. But the steps were different. Not proud, not heavy, just soft and tired. From the darkness, a boy stepped into the light. He was human. Thin, dusty. His black hair was messy. His clothes were torn. He looked more like a traveler than a warrior. On his back, he carried a sword. It was not bright. It was not sharp. It was rusted, cracked, and dull. The blade looked old, almost broken. He looked around nervously. Then his eyes found her. He froze. You're real? He whispered. Her voice came slow and deep, like wind through stone. And you are late. The boy blinked. Late? 300 years, she said softly, but time moves differently for your kind. He took a shaky step forward. I didn't come to fight. I didn't even know this place was real. I just followed a dream. A dream? She asked, her golden eyes narrowing. He nodded. I kept seeing fire, wings, chains. I don't know why. But I had to come. He took off the sword and held it up. I found this in a ruined cave. I don't even know if it's real. She stared at the blade. Something stirred in her chest. It felt like hope. Come closer, she said. He stepped forward slowly. The air around him changed. The runes on the chains began to glow brighter. What is your name, human? Jiho. Then, Jiho, show me your blade. He raised the sword with 2 hands. It trembled slightly. He was scared. She turned her wrist, showing him one of the chains wrapped around it. Strike here, she said. Jiho hesitated. Won't it hurt you? No, she said. These chains only break for something true. Jiho closed his eyes. He lifted the rusted blade and brought it down hard. There was no explosion, no fire, no scream, just a crack, clean and deep. The chain broke. A single link fell to the ground with a loud clang. Yunha gasped. For the first time in centuries, she moved her arm. Jiho stepped back, eyes wide. It worked? She looked at the sword. The rust was falling off. Something underneath it was glowing. It was never broken, she whispered. It was waiting. Jiho looked at her. For what? For you. The broken chain still lay on the floor. It looked heavy, almost like a fallen crown. Yunha stared at her freed arm. She slowly moved her fingers. The joints were stiff, but they worked. Her skin glowed faintly, like embers coming back to life. Jiho stood still, not knowing what to say. I don't understand, he said. That sword, I found it buried in dirt. It was nothing but rust. She looked at the blade. The rust was peeling off slowly, like old paint. Underneath was metal brighter, than silver covered in faded symbols. It is not just a sword, she said softly. It is memory. Memory, she nodded. Long ago, before the gods turned cold, humans and Skyborn were allies. Your people forged 7 sacred blades. One was given to me, a promise of peace. But if it was yours, why did I find it buried? Because promises break, she said, her voice colder now. And when they do, everything is lost. Jiho looked at the sword in his hands. Why would it work for me? Yunha stared at him. Her golden eyes were sharp, but calm, because the blade remembers hearts. Not names, not titles, only truth. You came here not to take, but to understand. That is why it listens to you. Jiho looked down, his grip tightening. I'm still not a hero. No one starts as one, she said. But some are chosen along the way. She raised her other arm, showing another glowing chain. The runes, on it, pulsed faintly. Strike again, she said. Jiho lifted the sword. This time his hands were steadier. He brought it down. The chain cracked and broke apart. Another heavy sound echoed through the chamber. Yunha closed her eyes. She could feel her strength returning. Her breath grew warmer. Her wings, still chained behind her, twitched for the first time in centuries. What were you? Jiho asked, quietly. I was a guardian, she said, one who protected the skies and watched over the winds. But the gods grew jealous of my kind. They feared our wings. They feared our fire. So they locked you away? They said I would bring war, but I only wanted peace. Jiho was quiet for a moment. Maybe they were afraid of what they didn't understand. She looked at him again. Her expression softened. You understand more than most. He looked around the chamber. The walls were covered in carvings. Some showed her flying above cities. Others showed battles. But the last one, it showed chains wrapping around her as God stood above. Why did no one free you before? He asked. They tried, she said. But all came with pride or greed. One wanted fame. Another wanted power. Even a kind mage came once, but he feared the blade. But you didn't, she added, looking at Jiho. He didn't answer. He simply moved forward and raised the sword again. The third chain shattered. A small gust of wind filled the room. It came from nowhere, but Yunha breathed it in deeply. Jiho smiled. You're waking up. I am, she said, rising a little taller. And so is the blade. The sword now shimmered. Its surface was clean. The old runes glowed faintly blue. It was no longer rusted. It was alive. Jiho looked surprised. It's changing. No, Yunha said. It is remembering. He looked down at it. I think it's showing me things. Memories. Visions. That is its gift. And its burden. She raised her leg, revealing another thick chain. There are 4 more. Then I will stand. Jiho nodded. He swung again. Another chain fell. Yunha's wings twitched harder. One of them stretched slightly, lifting dust into the air. You're almost free, he said. She turned to him, her eyes glowing brighter than ever. Not just me, Jiho. When I rise, the world will change. He nodded again. Then I'll help you finish it. And without fear, he lifted the blade once more. The sword was no longer quiet. As Jiho held it, the old rust crumbled like dry leaves. Underneath, the metal was bright, not silver, not steel, but something older, something living. Strange runes glowed on its blade, soft and blue, as if they were breathing. He looked at Yunha. She was staring at the sword, her golden eyes wide. "This blade," she whispered, "was made before even I was born. But I found it buried in a cave," Jiho said. "It was covered in bones." "Yes," Yunha said. "The sword was hidden after the war. When the gods betrayed us, it was lost for hundreds of years." Jiho looked down at the blade, in his hands. "Then, why did I find it?" Yunha stepped closer. The chains on her left arm still held tight, but her right arm was free now. "It chose you," she said. "That sword was not built for kings or warriors. It was built for truth." "For truth?" "Yes," she said softly. "Only someone with a true heart can wake it." Jiho didn't speak. He didn't think he was special. He had no magic, no great strength. He was just a boy who had been afraid most of his life. He never thought a sword, or a person, would ever believe in him. Yunha turned and showed him another chain, thick and glowing. "Strike again." He nodded. His hands were shaking, but he lifted the sword. The air around them grew heavy. He swung, and once again, the chain broke, clean. Another loud clang. The link fell to the stone floor. This time, a rush of power flowed through the chamber. Dust lifted. Rocks cracked. The mountain felt like it was breathing again. Yunha's wings twitched slightly. "That chain held my wind," she said. "Now I feel the air again." Jiho wiped sweat from his forehead. "How many chains are left?" "4," she said. "Each one holds a part of me." He walked around her carefully. The next chain wrapped around her waist like a belt of fire. As he approached, the runes on the chain started to glow stronger, red and hot. "This one," Yunha warned, "holds my fire. Be careful. If the sword doesn't accept you, it could burn you." Jiho took a deep breath. "I trust it," he said, and he swung. The sword hit the chain, and for a moment, nothing happened. Then the runes shattered like glass, and the chain exploded in a burst of heat. Jiho fell backward, rolling across the stone floor. Smoke rose from his hands, but the sword glowed brighter than ever. He sat up, coughing. "I'm okay," he said, smiling through the pain. Yunha looked down at her hands. Sparks danced along her fingers. Her body shimmered like a dying star, returning to life. "You're freeing me," she whispered. "One chain at a time." Jiho stood up slowly. "How long until you're whole?" "2 more chains," she said. "My wings and my mind." He nodded. "Then let's keep going." He walked to the chain that held her wings. It was thick like a tree trunk. The runes were white, strange, almost alive. He lifted the sword once more. The mountain grew quiet. Again. Even the air stood still. Jiho struck. The chain didn't explode, didn't shatter. It simply vanished. Like mist in sunlight. Yunha opened her wings slowly. They were long, sharp, and beautiful. The air moved as they stretched, filling the chamber with wind. She smiled for the first time. "I haven't felt the wind in 300 years." Jiho smiled back, though he looked tired. "Last one?" "Yes," she said. "The chain around my head. It holds my memories." He turned toward her. This chain was thin, almost invisible, but the runes on it burned like stars. Jiho lifted the sword one more time. "Are you ready?" he asked. "No," Yunha said, her voice calm. "But I trust you." He struck the final chain. Light filled the chamber. A soft wind howled. The runes screamed, then faded. Yunha closed her eyes, and when she opened them again, she remembered everything. Hunha stood free. The last chain had fallen. Her wings, once locked tight, now spread wide like a storm returning to the sky. Her golden eyes shone like burning suns. Her strength had returned. Her silence was over. Jiho stood beside her. His sword, once rusted and broken, now glowed silver and gold. Ancient symbols shimmered along the blade's edge. It no longer looked like a tool. It looked like a gift from the stars. But the sky began to crack. Black clouds formed above the mountain. The ground shook. Thunder rolled across the land. "They know," Yunha said. "The gods are coming." Jiho looked up. "Let them." Suddenly, from the clouds they appeared. 3 glowing figures, tall, faceless, burning with light. The old gods, the ones who had locked Yunha away. Their voices echoed like earthquakes. She must remain. The chain was law. Yunha stepped forward. "I followed your law. I served in your wars. I was loyal. And you feared me." The gods raised their hands. Spears of pure light appeared in the air. Jiho moved in front of her. "If you want her, you'll have to go through me." The gods laughed. "You are only human." "But I came," Jiho said. When no one else did, one of the gods threw a spear. Yunha moved faster than thought. She blocked it with her wing. The light burned her feathers, but she did not fall. Another spear came, and this time Jiho swung the sword. The blade cut through the light like it was nothing. The god screamed. The blade struck its chest and the armor cracked. Yunha's eyes widened. "That sword, it wasn't made to break chains, it was made to kill them." Jiho raised it again. "Then let's finish this." Together they charged, human and immortal. Blade and flame. The gods fought hard, but the sword struck true. One by one they fell, screaming, fading into light and ash. The mountain cracked, the clouds broke, the sky turned blue again. The silence that followed was deep and Jiho dropped to one knee, bleeding and breathing hard. The sword slipped from his hand. Yunha rushed to him. "You're hurt." He smiled weakly. "Worth it. You came for me," she said softly. "You didn't even know me." "You waited for someone," Jiho said. "I just didn't want you to wait alone." She looked at him, eyes full of something ancient and soft. "You did more than free me." He blinked. "What do you mean?" "In my world," she whispered, "there is no deeper bond than the one formed through liberation." Jiho chuckled. "Does that make me special?" "To me," she said, placing her hand on his heart, "it makes you everything." For 300 years, no blade, no spell, no king could free her. But a human boy with a rusted sword did it, because he dared to care, not for power, not for glory, just for her. And when the gods came to take her again, he stood in front of her, and he never backed down. Because sometimes the strongest magic is simply choosing to stand beside someone who's been forgotten. If this story touched your heart, like, share, and subscribe for more emotional tales from Emotional Rebuy Tales. Do you think the sword chose Jiho, or did he choose to be worthy of it?